confidants, my sweet confidants. Welcome to another episode of Confidently Insecure, the podcast where we are absolutely sure we don't know everything. This is a safe space. Well, actually, speaking of my space, it might look a little different if you're watching on youtube.com/Kelsey Darragh. I am in a cabin in the woods in upstate New York at my best friend's house. She is having a baby literally any moment. Like, it could happen right now. It could plop out. We are just like on standby. This is very exciting. So if you're wondering where I am right now, the woods is the answer. And I'm so excited to bring on our first guest. I always say, oh, this podcast is what we, asking the questions we're afraid to ask. And then I always say and this guest is so perfect for it. But because we're fantastic at booking guests. We're fantastic at getting badass bitches up in here. And so I'm so excited to introduce our guest for this week, TORI Dunlap. You are a money expert and founder of HerFirst100k and TikTok star.
Casual. Thank you. I guess. Yeah. Kelsey, I'm stoked to be here. This is the best.
TORI, I told her already off camera, I came across your TikToks and was hoping to send them to my little group chat podcast people and be like, oh my gosh, she's great. We should definitely get her on here. And then one of my producer interns was like, have you seen this already? Sending your TikTok in. So tell us a little bit about what HerFirst100k is.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to grow up with a financial education.
Wow.
I was lucky enough to have parents who educated me about money. And I knew not to overspend on credit cards. I knew how to negotiate. I knew how to invest. And I grew up thinking, oh, this is the case for everybody.
What do your parents do? I don't mean to cut you off, but this is so unusual. But what do your parents do that they
My dad is a salesperson and my mom is a homemaker.
And so
I'm
they
an
were
only
just
child and they didn't grow up with a lot. And so they were committed where they were like, okay, we are going to make smart financial choices and we are going to educate our daughter to make sure she makes smart financial choices.
Covering up the mistakes, closing the circle, ending the trauma. I love that.
Always. So I grew up thinking that's the norm. Everybody knows. And then I got into college, graduated college, and I was the friend all of my friends were coming to for advice and guidance, especially my female friends. And graduated college in May of 2016. Obviously, Trump got elected in November. Thank you. and I was like, oh, I thought I would be coming into adulthood, into womanhood in Hillary Clinton's America.
God,
and instead came into America or came to womanhood in Trump's America. And I realized through, having conversations with female friends, learning more about personal finance, learning more about money, that it's our best form of protest as women. That unfortunately we are at a severe disadvantage when it comes to financial education, and it affects every single part of our lives. And I don't think we have any sort of equality for women until we have financial equality, because it gives you choices, right? You can leave the toxic situation you don't want to be in anymore. You can start a business. You can quit your job. You can travel and have kids or not have kids, retire early. You have all of these options. Yes. And so I was like, okay, this thing was a privilege. This financial education was a privilege. And with that privilege comes a responsibility.
Absolutely.
So I started HerFirst100k in late 2016. I took it full time in late 2019. I am now a multi-6-figure, soon to be 7-figure money expert who writes speaking coaches about paying off debt, saving money, investing, starting businesses. And we're a community over 1.5 million.
Fucking casual. And
it's my favorite thing in the world.
This is so great because, I also want to name that the name of your company came from you being able to save $100,000 by the time you were 25.
Correct.
Which is a big deal, which is fucking unheard of in my area of expertise.
The first thing I like to acknowledge the privilege in that. I did graduate with student debt, which was a combination of me working 3 jobs while I was going to school, me getting a bunch of merit scholarships, and also my parents having saved since I was born in order to give me a little bit of money for college.
Right.
So that's the first thing is I would not have hit 100K that quickly if I had student debt, fully aware of that.
Right.
But I also started investing really early. So I opened up what's called a Roth IRA, which I'm happy to talk about, when I was 21.
Baby.
Yep. When I was 21, I started side hustling. So HerFirst100k was my side hustle for almost 3.5 years on the side of my 9-to-5 in marketing.
Wow.
So I was putting away all that money that I was earning from the business.
Yeah.
And then I was just really prioritizing how do I balance spending and saving? How do I make sure that my hard-earned money is going to things that I actually like and care about, as opposed to, you know, spending all of my money on stupid shit that I really didn't care about. So
we've definitely, we've had a couple episodes on finance in the last 2 years that this has been a podcast. We had Sally Krawcheck from Merrill Lynch,
love her,
and she came on, and it was almost too upper level. There was, we missed the basics of stuff. It was definitely more an investing episode. And then recently I talked about my personal finances because I do believe in kind of financial transparency. And
me too.
I wanted people to know the truth about what people like me make, right? They see YouTubers and they see the hype house. I don't even know the fact that I know the name of the hype house, but they see all these YouTubers in these $1 million houses, cars, businesses, new clothes. And that is not the majority, right? I talked about, what I had in my savings accounts, what I was most debted with. I also didn't have student debt, mostly because I dropped out of all the colleges I went to. See, I told you I always plan questions and then I just throw them all away and go straight into my personal experience.
I'm here for it.
But I think money is so fucking boring. I think to the confidants that are listening to this episode going another finance podcast, but it's not really a finance podcast. It's a life podcast. It's really what you're saying. It's getting into a arena that we weren't taught to be into. And I also grew up in a very privileged position. My parents had saved money for me to go to, I tried to go to college and they more were just here, do what you want with this money. And that's kind of how I got started.
Take it.
Yeah. And I have gotten so close to $100,000 so many times. I've never hit it. And it's funny that, maybe the beginning of this year was another time that I was so close. And then even 4 months later, now I am paying off a $19,000 credit card bill and losing the most money I've ever lost. I already started a startup company where I've already spent $13,000. And when I talk to my other startup friends, they're like, we spent $5,000 and we've made an entire app and it's out in the world and using. I'm like, oh shit, I'm doing something incorrectly. And to top it all off, I have a fucking business manager that takes 5% of all my checks who's supposed to business
give you money.
Yeah, but it's more in the industry with invoicing and having money in so many different projects and places, you really do. It does take a lot of weight off of me to have someone who can collect the money and I don't have to worry about where it's coming from. It's the saving and the smart spending that I think I have a problem with that is very relatable to our audience, our listeners. I have stata and stata. Whoa, I think I just made a new word. Statistics and data. Stata. I have data. I have stata.
That sounds like a cool bar. You're like, stata. Oh, I'll meet you at 7 for Manhattan. It's stata.
Yeah. And I can see where socioeconomically our audience lies. And I think that there is that gap between getting out of college and getting into adulthood that most of us enter without any savings. And so I guess, I obviously want to talk about your biz. I want to talk about you're writing a book, you're starting a podcast. You have so much going on, but I have to start at where I found you was TikTok. Why start financial expertise coaching on TikTok?
So we had a good chunk of our following on Instagram. We were at about 30,000 to 40,000 followers this time last year, which was nothing to sneeze at. And I, like many people, got on TikTok in March, bored in the house, name of house, bored, around quarantine, and was like, okay, I'll just see what's going on, and consumed, was on TikTok as a consumer until July. Lurker. And honestly, I thought to myself, I was like, they're not going to care. I'm going to talk about money.
Right.
And these are all Gen Z people.
It's boring.
And I'm a millennial, but just barely. I'm 26. And so congrats. I was born in 94. So I'm barely a millennial. I'm right on the cusp. I know. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm still too old. They're not going to give a shit.
No.
And I started, giving financial advice on TikTok. And within about a week and a half, my first video went viral, which was crazy.
Which one was that one?
So there was one that I talked about, Dave Ramsey, who's shall not be named.
Yeah. The Voldemort of finance.
Personal fight. No, legitimately, we can talk about him.
We can talk about it.
But just the shaming, the judgment, the you can't afford a house because you buy too many lattes, that math doesn't even work. And it's also the most sexist bullshit.
Yes.
Of like a latte, this seemingly feminine, frothy, like little pleasure in life. Exactly. Well, and it's this thing, right? That's like, well, and you don't have to deprive yourself in order to build the life that you want.
And how old is he?
Gotta be like in his 60s now.
That's what I'm saying. What the fuck does he know about how we spend money in the generation that we've grown up in the economy we had?
He also just does not acknowledge systemic oppression. He is like, the reason you're not rich is because you do not work hard enough.
I'm hoping this audience has not heard of him and will not.
I'm hoping to. Sometimes I do get comments on TikTok. People are like, who is this person? And I'm like, bless you. Yeah. Like you're in
ignorance is bliss in this situation.
Truly. I'm like, congratulations to you. Let me send you some flowers.
Right.
But yeah, so that was kind of the first video. And then I talked about, being able to, quit my job.
You called it out. You were like, I'm calling this out. And people were like, fuck yeah, I'm going to follow this chick.
Yeah. And so I've been on TikTok. What has it been? Like 9 or 10 months now. And we're at 1.4 million followers, which is proof to me that people need it, that people want it, and in a way that is accessible. So that's my big thing is how do we create, to your point, finance is kind of boring. It's been a lot of straight white men talking about getting rich and then telling us, oh, stonks. Right. And then telling us that
now.
Stonks is the most stupid. We can talk about that too.
It's stocks, but we call it stonks in the community. Thank you.
It reminds me
I am the owner of Dogecoin. So if that tells you about how fucking stupid I am. There you go.
Have you seen the SNL sketch about Chunk? Have you seen that one? This one a couple years ago. To be honest,
I stopped watching SNL when Kristen Wiig left.
That's totally understandable. They have this, it's like, oh, you're gorgeous at any size. And like every woman's a chunk. And then that's the brand name is Chunk.
It's Chunk. Okay. So it's kind of like stonk.
And so every time I hear somebody say stonk, I'm just like, stonk.
Stonk. You have to say it that way. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Which just like the
so stonk. I'm definitely following like stonk talk and I don't know what I'm doing. Like clearly I bought Dogecoin. Like it's like, what the fuck?
Well, no,
but
here's the thing.
I could pull it out and pay for my debt of my new company. So I mean,
you could. And it's also one of those things where we are consistently told that talking about money is taboo, right? Mm-hmm. Talking about money is taboo. It's bad. It's impolite. Right. And we're also told as women that, well, money's for the guys. You shouldn't really want it. And in addition, if you want money, you are bad, right?
Ooh,
if you want to be rich, you are evil, you are bad. And here's the deal is these narratives are perpetuated by the patriarchy. So we have these misogynistic, racist systems, right, that exist. And they tell us, oh, well, don't talk about money because it's taboo, or don't want money because it keeps them in power. They profit from our silence, right? Because they're saying like, don't talk about money, don't gain power, don't gain agency, because then we'll stay in power.
Money is power. It really provides.
And you are powerful. You are powerful, Kelsey. Everyone listening to this podcast is powerful. So like, it is not a bad thing to want money because really you want choices. It's not like, I don't want a stack of, $100 bills. That doesn't help me. No. I want what that $100 bill can buy me. Right. I want choices. I want agency. I want to donate to causes I believe in. Like I said before, I want to leave toxic situations. I want to start
have a fucking
businesses.
Latte.
Right. Have a latte.
Like, go out to about eat.
Buy your friend dinner without you having to think twice about it. Right.
I loved on your website the quote, and maybe you can say it better, but it was like, I hate the phrase empowering women because we're already empowered. It's just about teaching you how to use your power. And I was like, it makes me just feel like I've already got it in me, but then it feels a little overwhelming to learn.
You need the resources and the agency. So what can I answer? What questions do you have? Because I'm all about actionable goodies.
Yes. So it is really in that phase where I'm like, okay, I want to take charge of my spending, right? Like I want to know why at the end of every week when my business manager sends me my thing, I'm like, where did all of this go? And also coming from a place of privilege and knowing that, like, what's a relatable place to start for everyone that's like, I have a bank account, I make sure I don't go under this limit, and maybe I have like a little bit of cushion of savings. Like, how can I have growth?
Yes. First of all, that's the number one thing people ask me. So you're not alone in that.
I
actually have a free course called How to Curb Emotional Spending around that concept of like, I get to the end of the month and I'm like, where the fuck did my money go? So
I signed up for it.
Great. I'll have you link it if you want.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so a couple of things that you want to do. The very actionable practice is, do you know what a food journal is?
Yes.
Where you write down everything you eat. We're going to do that for money.
Love.
So for like at least a week, I would say preferably like a month, even if you can swing it, write down everything you spend money on for that period of time. Typically your discretionary money.
Right.
Now, the key with this practice is you have to do it without shame or judgment.
Ooh,
so it's not like,
exactly.
You can't be like, God, I'm such a piece of shit. Or like, why did I spend money on that? Like that was such a waste of time or money. You just have to go, oh, she bought that pair of shoes she did not need and did not want because she had a shitty day. Interesting, right? That's it. So you're writing down 4 things. You're writing down what you bought and how much you spent. So I went to Starbucks, I bought a $5 mocha, right? And then the other 2 things are the transformational things. You're going to say why you made the purchase and how it made you feel. Money is psychological. The reason we spend money, well, we're in a certain headspace, right? The amount of times, especially in quarantine, like I bought a $75 pregnancy pillow. I'm not pregnant. I'm not planning on becoming pregnant. Was it the best purchase
comfy.
ever? Yes. No, but like that was purely an emotional purchase. It was like, okay, I'm going to be here for God knows how long. It ended up being a year and a half. And I'm like, okay, I may as well cozy up with this and put Timothy Chalamet's face on it and act like it is,
I want that. New business idea. Let's go in, sis. I'll take 2%. I'll help you market. I don't need equity.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Lori Grenier. I so appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, love that show.
Yeah. So I think that's really what you have to kind of analyze your purchases through this lens of like, why am I spending money on this thing?
Yes.
Like, why did I do this? And how did it make me feel?
Well, I want to stop and say like, that is so not taught to us. Like that emotional aspect of it, it's almost like a high, like I can afford this thing and it makes me happy and that's it. And you never give it a second thought, but I'm loving, it's almost like a mindfulness practice that you're instilling to be like, it's the same thing as eating. If you would have gone, why am I eating this thing? Am I actually hungry? Am I feeling sad? Am I emotional? And I sometimes worry because I go straight to judgment, how I can remove that feeling of like, oh, why did I do that from it? But you're saying maybe write it down physically, like make a journal or an expense
notes app of your phone. I actually have a product that I have called the Cash Calendar, which is like a little printable thing that you can do. The thing, I mean, I don't have to tell you this as a mental health person, but like shame is the one emotion that's not productive. Like not productive. Anger, all of these like quote unquote ugly emotions, anger, frustration, sadness. These are still productive, right? They're either getting energy out of the body or you're feeling your feelings. Right. Shame is the one thing that doesn't actually help us at all.
It doesn't actually do anything. Yeah.
Right. Well, and you don't have to stop spending money. You just have to stop spending money on shit that you don't care about.
Okay. So let's say we do that. And I'm like, wow, I'm spending a lot of money on dumb shit that I kind of don't ever revisit and am thrilled to have it in my life. How do I stop?
Yes. So when you're looking at your money diary after that period of time, right, it's going to be very clear where the majority of your money is going. And if that aligns with your values, you're going to kind of, to your point, like, Marie Kondo your money, right? And you're going to identify what I call your 3 value categories. These are the 3 areas in your life. Excuse me. Let me try that again. 3 areas in your life where you are committed to spending the majority of your discretionary money because they bring you the most joy.
What's discretionary money, just for people?
Sure. Discretionary money is like your fun money. It's not your rent. It's not your student loan payment. It's not like money for savings. It is like your fun shit.
But you still should include that stuff in your journal, right? Because like you'll go rent and then you'll go like, am I spending too much money on rent? Should I downsize, right?
One of the things about paying rent though, is you're probably like in how it made you feel, the emoji is going to be like, like you're not going to love it, but you still have to do it.
But it forces you to almost appreciate your space more if you're spending X amount or, you can find ways to write rooms off. I've learned.
Right. And so for me, like the 3 value categories for me are travel, food out, and you can't see it, but plants. I have a 650 square foot apartment and I have 55 plants. That's my thing. So for me, coffee's not a big deal, especially like coffee out. Like I don't do coffee out a lot. clothes, makeup, those are not a big deal for me, but for you, it might be, right?
Amazon.
Your makeup is always fire, by the way.
Oh my God. I've been like doing no makeup during quarantine because I'm loving it. And I hope we don't go back. I don't want to go back.
Well, speaking of the guys, when you hosted your trivia and your eye makeup was just.
She's talking about the Try Guys. We talked about them before.
Good.
I so appreciate you. And you know what else I was going to say, because we already mentioned the Try Guys, is that when you were saying you're the financial friend everyone goes to, that's Ned. Ned is the guy.
Oh, I know.
I'm always like,
I want 15 minutes with Ned to just nerd out about finance.
100%.
I just want 15 minutes.
I love that.
No, he'll come on the podcast, their podcast sometimes, and talk about money. And every time I'm in my car and I'm like, yes, Daddy Ned. Ned.
Yes. And he's doing great. Like, I looked at him being like, how is he so much more like got his shit together than me? But guess why? It's because he went to fucking Yale or whatever. And he came up in that experience and he had that privilege. And you're so right. And he uses it for good now. I think he's really good at like giving back and making sure people have that experience.
And he doesn't even know he's doing this. But here's the deal is when he talks about money, he's still coming at it from the dude perspective, which is like, I already know what a stock is.
Yeah.
I already know what the stock market is. And I get women who are like, what is the S&P 500?
What is the S&P 500?
What is a stock? The S&P 500 is the 500 biggest companies on the stock market.
Got it.
Typically, like it's Amazon,
Apple.
Johnson & Johnson, Apple, Tesla, Walmart, right? And a stock is a tiny little sliver of a company.
Right.
So when you buy a share of Amazon stock, granted you own like a grain of sand on Bezos's beach, but it is like you own a small part of Amazon or Bumble or Shopify or Tesla or whatever you want.
And it makes you like going back to like making you think about even those purchases. It makes you go back to like, is this valuable because society has deemed property and assets valuable? Like, or am I just doing it because I think I'm supposed to do it?
Right. Well, and it's also what you can check yourself right before you buy something. You can go to your point about mindfulness, like what emotional state am I in? We do the same thing, hopefully with food. I'm slightly, I'm guilty of not doing this with food,
same.
But it's like, where am I at right now? Yeah. Okay. Am I buying this thing to make myself feel better? That's okay.
Yeah.
Is it actually going to make me feel better?
No, usually no.
It's not.
Maybe
it's
a plant
usually
though.
Not.
A plant usually, because it produces oxygen, good for your mental
But
health.
again, I can spend pretty much unapologetically on plants, right? Because that's one of my 3 value categories. So again, you don't have to stop spending money. You just have to stop spending money on shit that you only like kind of care about or don't give a shit about. So for you, Kelsey Darragh, what are your 3 value categories?
Coffee Dance. Before I go any further, you know, I have a lot of stuff going on in my life right now. I mean, we are dealing with a robbery that just happened. We are moving on a very stressful timeline. I'm 2 years sober. My birthday is coming up. I'm turning 31. Oh my God, I was 21. Wishful thinking. Anyways, guys, life could be just like falling and crumbling apart, but it's not. You want to know why? Because I am using BetterHelp, baby. That's right. I am going to therapy every week. And best of all, you can be joining me, honey. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. It is available for clients worldwide, and they have licensed professionals who deal with issues like depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, sleeping, trauma, anger, family conflicts, LGBT matters, happy pride, grief, and self-esteem. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Anything you share is confidential, VIP, super low down, no one's gonna know, and it's convenient, professional, and most importantly, affordable, because y'all know I believe that therapy should be a right, not a privilege. So I want you to start living your happier life today. As a listener, you're going to get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/CI. Join over 1 million people, including me, taking charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/CI. By the way, did you know that so many people have been using BetterHelp that they're recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states? Ha!
If you had to guess. And again, your money diary will help you with this.
You know, yeah, I think like a money diary would help. I tend to spend on things on like, again, on Amazon, which is totally like, it's a big thing that I'm trying to cut back on. Because I literally just started a company that is about sustainability, and I'm trying to only buy sustainable and stop using from Amazon, but it's convenience, right? So my big value ones are probably, I shop at Whole Foods and farmers markets because every day I make like smoothies and juices and I cook fresh from home, do an air fryer. So I feel like that chunk of like fresh food, which usually tends to be like a little more, that's a big one. Does that count? Just food?
Totally counts. I had a client who it was fancy cheese. That's what she wanted to spend her money on was cheese. She had her whole, like one of her 3 value categories was just, I like splurging on good cheese.
Okay.
And like that was even more specific, but like,
that you just made me think of another one because of cheese. I've decided, and the confidants know this because I've said it on the podcast a bunch. I've decided to change my life to only being comfortable, whether it be I'm buying the outfit that is cozy. I'm changing
no high heels,
pillow, no fucking high heels. If I need to stay in the hotel, that's a little bit upgraded because I need to be comfortable. I live my life with chronic pain and I am in pain all day, every day, that I decided, you know, fucking what? This is how I'm going to take my power back. And it's where I've been spending a lot of my money. And so I guess it's a kind of a broad category, but comfort is important.
And I love that. I would make sure that you check yourself. Because what can happen, right, is like if you say, like a lot of people come to me and they go like, oh, entertainment's one of my categories. And I go, well, entertainment's so broad. You could say like, oh, I'm going to go to Cirque du Soleil and then I'm going to go see a movie and then I'm going to go see a concert. And then, entertainment is also like going out to drinks with friends. Right. And so I love that. Well, and it's just, you need to make sure that you're not like justifying, right? It's kind of like what I do when I give away, like I give up sweets and I'm like, oh, a cinnamon roll isn't a sweet because you have it for breakfast. You know,
breakfast foods don't count.
Breakfast foods don't count. But no, that's what we do, right? Is we justify it to ourselves. Right. So I love that as a category. I think that's lovely because it does serve you.
Yes.
But just make sure that you're not like, this I'm gonna do the jet that I can't afford. Yeah. Right.
Literally, we both, because even on the way to New York, I already had my ticket bought. It was an economy ticket. They upgraded me to have like more room. But even then at the airport, I still Googled what other flights are available right now with first class that I could afford. And I checked myself though. I went, it's 4 hours of my time. And if I get uncomfortable, if it causes a flare up, I'm going to have a flare up anyway. So part of me was like, would you rather have a flare up in first class or in economy? And I was like, for 4 hours.
I don't want to be that person who's like, be uncomfortable. No, that's not the point here.
No. You are about comfort. You are about living your life. You are about spending money. You are not like cut things out. So that's what I love. Okay. So like, let's go to your next steps. Cause I know I'm just like totally derailing.
No, you're great. I would also say with your Amazon thing, if you really want to stop, like remove your credit card. Like, so you have to manually enter your credit card into Amazon and get rid of Prime.
I have my credit cards memorized. Isn't that fucked up?
Oh, order a new credit card.
And you know what? I did. And they sent me a new one with the exact same numbers, except the last 4 were changed. Universe does some funky shit sometimes.
Yeah. So, I mean, if people are out there, like I have my credit card saved in my browser. If you know that that's just like not a good thing for you, remove it.
It's like, it doesn't exist when it's just also already inputted.
I can't tell you the amount of times I've been sitting on my couch and my purse is over here, my wallet's over here. And I'm like, I don't really need it.
I don't want to get up and go get it.
The other thing you can
do. It's also in my phone. So my credit cards live in the back of my phone, which is a big problem.
You can also,
take that out.
You can take that out. The other thing too, and we talk about this in the course that you'll do is like, you can ask yourself to wait 24 hours.
Ooh, I love that.
So just like, it doesn't mean you can't have it. So like, there was a time I was walking through, I was like Nordy's or Macy's. And I was like, I saw this coat and I was like,
I need it.
I need it. I want it. I want it. I got it. I'm like, I need
Ariana
this
Grande
coat.
over here.
No, literally, I was like, this coat is fantastic. And then I looked at the price tag and I was like, do I need that coat?
Is it that?
And I thought to myself, okay, this coat will still be here in 24 hours. They're going to have this coat. So I'm going to go away. And if I'm still thinking about this coat, actually for me, typically I give myself 48 hours, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to give myself this period of time. And if I'm still thinking about it, I have full permission to buy it. Guess what? Completely forgot the coat existed.
Yep.
Forgot it existed.
It's psy-fucking-cology. It is. And I think it's important for women to learn how to curb that. What do you call it? Like in the
emotional spending or like
emotional spending. Yes.
Yeah.
Especially because online shopping now is such a huge thing with quarantine. I feel like that is a big problem too, is that now when I'm out in the world. Like I got to go to a little farmer's market the other day that was outdoor, and I bought these lollipop earrings, not necessarily because I was like, I need these. I know they're super,
but they're super cute.
They're done by Happy Good Times Unlimited, just for anyone who wants to know on Instagram, even though I probably shouldn't have given that to you. And I bought them not only because I just was thrilled to be out, but I also like approached the table and kind of like fell in love with the girl. And I was like, I don't know how to walk away from this without buying something, because her funds also go to a good cause. And I was like,
totally.
This is an emotional moment. This has nothing to do with money.
Well, and I'll tell you too, I mean, this is going to be unique to you and I, but we have a platform.
Yes.
Like I might suggest, like, if you don't actually want her earrings, like maybe you shout her out on Instagram and you're like,
I did that for another guy. I didn't buy a product and I shouted him out on it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. There are ways to walk away from money. There's spending big chunks of money.
There's also a question to ask yourself. And again, I talk about this in the course of like, is this worth it in two ways? One, is this actually worth what they're charging? Right? Is it actually worth the price tag in terms of like, are you going to wear this a lot? Are you going to use this a lot? Is it actually worth the price tag? And then is it worth being in debt for longer?
Ooh.
Is it worth not spending money on something that you actually might like more? Like I think to myself, oh, this $100 thing, because travel is really important to me. Oh, if I spend $100 here, I can't fly to California because that's roughly $100 for me from Seattle. So amazing. Sometimes the answer is like, yeah, this is worth a flight to California, right? In my $100. And sometimes it's not, right? Sometimes it's like, no, I'd rather go to California, or I'd rather go to, I don't know, insert place here, right?
Travel's big for me too. And I find myself doing that. Yeah.
That can be one of the ways you kind of check yourself of like, is this worth being in debt for longer?
Because I go into a blind vacation high. I go like, I don't care, upgrade, eat the food, go to the Michelin star restaurant.
That's how I am when I'm drunk. Like when I'm drunk, I will eat a plate of nachos like it's nothing. I will spend a bunch of money. I'm like, yeah, I'll take the Uber and let's upgrade. Like that's
But you're so right. It's like travel's a big one for me. So maybe that's my like third important thing. But knowing that if I would like to sustain travel, sometimes mama's gotta take away her flaunting, Amex Platinum and just go back to being just an Amex,
Yeah. The other thing I tell people is like, there's this whole narrative of like, you're either a spender or a saver, right? We've heard that for a really long time. Like, oh, I'm either like predisposed to either spend or save. And the truth is we are all spenders. Yeah. Like even me, who has a good chunk of money saved, I will spend that money. It just might not be tomorrow. Right.
And are you happier when you have saved? Like, are you a better person because you have money saved? I just can't imagine what that feels like.
I am so motherfucking confident. Like I do not tolerate toxic situations anymore. Like if I'm working with a client who wants to underpay me, I'm like, I don't have to take your contract. I have money. I don't need you. I don't need to be undercompensated. I go out to eat dinner with my best friend or go out for drinks and I don't think twice. I'm also going on dates and men are intimidated by me. And I'm like, great, good. Be intimidated by me. Like if you can't handle this.
Do you want to hear something so dumb I did?
Independent woman. What?
Literally piggybacking off of what you just said about being so confident. When I met Jared, it was the most money I was making and not saving. I just started saving in 2018 and I was making my like 6 figures at BuzzFeed and I was spending like an asshole. Yeah. And on our very first date, we went to Dave & Buster's and we ran into friends that he was with. And we were like, oh my God, let's all go to Dave & Buster's together. I was so drunk and flexed. I bought $700. I bought everyone a $100 game card because I was drunk and I was like flexing in front of Jared. And he still brings it up to this day. He's like, remember when you were so confident in your money that you spent $700 on people you literally met 5 seconds ago? And like, what the fuck? And
here's the thing is
high and a confidence. And a flex.
I am confident because I have money in savings.
I don't have saved though. I just had a flex of like, I know I'm getting paid. So here we go.
Right. Well, and for me, my confidence comes from like, I can take care of myself. Like the ultimate self-reliance. Like I am traveling COVID pending to Europe for a month.
Same.
And I'm like, cool. I can afford this. Yeah, I would love that.
I cannot afford
this.
Right?
But that's what the financial Like, that's what a financial foundation gives you. And that is the mission behind Her First 100k. Like, that is what I want every single woman to feel is I don't put up with bullshit anymore. Like, I just don't have to.
Right.
Like,
you're on a different level of thinking. Your mental health is on a different fucking vibe.
And I want every single woman to be rich. Yes. And I'm not even talking like Jeff Bezos rich, because that's ridiculous. But like, just, you're not living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
You have an emergency fund together. You don't have any credit card debt, right? You have investments. You are working towards the life that you want. Like, that's the feeling I want for every woman, because you don't have to tolerate bullshit anymore. You don't have to be in that job that you hate. You don't have to be in that relationship because you can't afford your own apartment, right? You have so many more options. And this is why
and I think it can feel overwhelming to come from a place of having like no savings or no financial like knowledge or privilege. So I want to talk a little bit about your courses in the company and just like how people can get started. Give me kind of a spread of what you're offering and what's like a good place to start and kind of journey down.
Yeah. So my big thing is I want to keep as much of my advice accessible as possible. I also have to get paid for my expertise. So I have 3 free courses. Kelsey already, I think, is already in one, which is amazing. I have, the best place to start is I have a free quiz that asks you different questions about where you're at in your financial journey to give you very specific resources that are all free.
Amazing.
And then an optional, if you want to support me, if you want to do more of my paid work, that's an option too.
And that's kind of an investment in yourself, right? Like here I am thinking like, obviously I want to hire and do sessions with you. And then I'm like, well, I have no money, but then I'm going, yeah, but that's like I'm investing in getting more money.
And I would never counsel somebody to take their last dollar and pay me with it. Like, that's not what I want. It won't be my last
dollar. I'm
not just talking about I'm not talking to you, but just like that's completely the antithesis of what I do is like, I don't want you like feeling stressed about like paying for work with me. Like, that's not but
that's why you have these free options too. Yeah, and I actually put in my company Slack this morning that I want to use Flowdesk, because I saw it on your website and I was like, oh,
Flowdesk is so great.
Yeah. You give all these tools, like different apps that you use to keep track, to budget, to invest for couples. Like you give a good spread. I've never heard about.
Appreciate it. Yeah. So that's really what I'm doing that on TikTok. We are launching the Financial Feminist podcast. It will be out by the time you hear this.
Tell me about it. Like, what can we expect to hear?
So my whole ethos is that we are not talking about money as women. And in addition, we are not talking about how money affects us differently. So again, we have wage gaps, right? We know that 78 cents to a man's dollar on average, even worse if you're a woman of color.
It doesn't exist. You get comments like that all the time, right?
Oh,
where they're like, wage gap.
Girls don't talk about stocks. Do you hate all men? And I'm like, well,
yes. The answer is yes.
Don't ask me that question.
But when he loves me, that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut for the TikTokers. We could talk forever about TikTok. Jesus Christ. So the podcast is coming out.
It's like Vine, where you just like have, a drama croissant.
Viner.
Like,
I was a big Viner.
It's like your own language at some point.
Yes.
Like,
and you talk to other people about it. Yeah.
You're never going to stop loving you, bitch. Yeah.
That was a time.
Financial Feminist podcast. Yeah. So we are it's kind of a split season. So half of the episodes are deep dives. You mentioned actually Sally Krawcheck. She's one of the guests on my show.
Oh, great.
So we're talking about how money affects women differently. So I have a friend and coaching client on who's a woman of color who grew up in the South and whose mom ran a check cashing and bail bond establishment.
Whoa. Those are fucking everywhere in the South, by the way.
Oh yeah. And it's like a very intense I think I cry every interview. Like, they're really beautiful and lovely. We have Tiffany, who's my friend who runs the Budgetnista, to talk about the racial wealth gap. We have a bunch of episodes just about like MLMs is another like deep dive of
multi-level like marketing. Oh, you could do a whole fucking documentary series. Oh, good.
Actually, with the host of The Dream, which is the podcast all about MLM. So she came on my show. So half of it is half of it is like let's have conversations that no one else is having about like things that are like about money, but really more adjacent. And then
more personable. Yeah.
Right. And then on Mondays, it's just me for like 15 minutes giving you some actionable resources. So like, what is a credit score and how do you increase it? Like, what is a stock and a bond and how do you actually get started investing? Stonk. What do you like? How do you overcome your psychological bullshit around money?
Yes.
Like that's all.
I love those. I think
shit.
I was following one that just gave like a quick like morning tip.
Yeah.
But again, I think it was a dude, like an NPR one or something. And I stopped listening because I was kind of like, this isn't for me. This feels like for me.
I appreciate it. That's the intent.
Yeah, good.
Again, there's a lot of conversations about money. I think more and more they're being had by women, but there's not a lot of, I mean, there's again, more and more communities now, but it's still like, oh, here's how to budget. And like, here's how to stop spending money on purses. And it's like, this is all just complete bullshit advice.
Fucking degrading a little bit.
Oh, and it's like 1950s. Like still, it's 2021. If you're in a heteronormative relationship, if you are a woman dating a man, most likely what'll happen is you will be involved in the day-to-day finances, the coupon clipping, the like check, like balancing. Right. And the man's handling the wealth building, the investing, their real estate, the negotiating their salary, crypto, right? Right. And these are the things that are not being discussed as like, how do we either co-manage, right? Or if you are like, I'm single, I'm like, I am growing my wealth. Thank you. It's a double-edged sword.
I love that.
Like, how can I just not focus on the day-to-day finances, but the wealth building in order for me to not only take care of myself, but to take care of my communities and to give women jobs and to, if I choose to have kids, make sure that they are taken care of and that their kids are taken care of. So I think that these are the conversations I just wish we were having more of. And I was like, okay, well, I gotta do it. Having them. Yep.
I think about money every single day and not in a way that is like fun like you. It's the biggest stressor of my life easily. And I know that that's probably like hella relatable, but I also love what you said about like giving women jobs, because with my startup, we have a women only team. And my biggest fucking fear, like my limiting belief, is that I am so bad with money that now that I am hiring and paying people out, I don't want to set them up for failure because I am not good with money.
Yeah, that's real. Dude, that's real.
Like, I need a CFO ASAP. Which again, like, I think it's one of those things where it's like, I need to know enough to know who to hire and trust that can like take care of that and put my money in the right places.
And the other thing I'd challenge you to do too is the I am not good with money narrative. That's all I say. Or I am not good with math. That's something I hear from women all the time. They're like, well, I'm like not good with math. Yeah. Money is not math, really. It's not. Like, it's not about equations and these sorts of things. It's not, calculus 2.
Right.
It's like, does this thing meet this thing? And how do you use money as a tool to build the life that you want? And again, we're told the narrative is women are bad with money. So the more we tell ourselves, right, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right, that we are bad with money. That's what's going to happen. And you're not bad with money. You exist in a society that is not educated you, right? You'd be like, oh, I'm bad at speaking Italian. And it's like, well, did they give you classes to teach you how to speak Italian? No.
Didn't.
Did you have like free resources to do this? Did your parents teach you how to speak Italian? No. So it's like, this is not your fault. Like, it's just like getting good with anything.
Yeah.
It's like playing the piano. Well, and it's like playing the piano, right? If you learn to play the piano, I'm gesturing, I have a piano over here.
I have a piano. If you learn to play
piano, you're not going to be good at it, right? Yeah. That's the learning process, is learning to speak a language, learning an instrument, learning a new hobby, right? I like took up embroidery and I'm still terrible at it over quarantine.
What a pandemic thing.
And I was terrible. I didn't know any of the stitches. I was like, there's more than one stitch. I just thought there was one. And like,
I think that's so important. Like, I can't believe we've already been talking for an hour. I always say that, but you're so easy to talk to.
I'm here forever.
There you go. I think it's important to find these little relatable things that do make it accessible, that do make it fun, that do make it interesting for women. Because if you just look at the market as a whole, it looks like a fucking concrete wall that's impossible to scale, but you are providing and others are providing these little places that are entertaining, fun, understandable, clear. And I think that's also a really good place to start, is like, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't go like, okay, I'm going to take everything I've ever done and
you're not going to climb Mount Everest in a day.
Right.
You're not
I got to meet myself where I am, is what I think I'm gathering from this. And
and one of the things I love about you is you're so and I'm sure like behind the scenes, this is harder, but your public persona is, you're so focused on like, if you're having a bad mental health day, or if you're just like, that's okay. Right. It doesn't mean it's all bad.
You're supposed to.
And it's the same thing with money, right? Of like, because you make one bad money decision, it doesn't mean you're bad at with money. Just because you have one great day with money doesn't mean like, okay, everything's great. I've fixed all my problems, right? Money problems are gone. Right.
Yeah.
And it's just these small, like kind of incremental steps. And then also not overwhelming yourself.
Yes. Big
also
time.
cutting yourself some slack, because unfortunately any narrative that we do have about money, so the times we have sought out financial education, the vast majority of it has been shaming and judgmental, right?
And made for men too.
And made for
to
men.
keep oppressing women. Yeah.
Again, that's the big focus around my platform, is how do we get women to talk about money, but in safe spaces where they can ask, again, there's no stupid questions, but what they like, the stupid questions of like, how do credit cards actually work? You know, or like, I don't know what a stock is, or a 401k match. What the fuck does that mean? Right.
I never got a good match on my 401k.
Oh, neither did I. Neither did I. Fuck BuzzFeed.
Yeah. Right. I mean, like I can say these things because I'm gone, but
I know.
But I want to say, like, wrapping up, where can people find you? And I want to hear a little bit about the book too.
Yeah. So I am actively writing the book. The book won't be out till 2022, but it will be like if my Instagram or TikTok was a book. So we're going chapter by chapter and talking about these different financial issues, debt, investing, money, emotions. We're kind of debunking it first. We're kind of like, how did we get here? What's the patriarchal bullshit around money? And then what is the actionable way that we can start fighting the patriarchy by becoming financially confident? Because these are acts of protest. Like if you get out of debt, that is an act of protest against a corrupt, unjust.
Do you know what this reminds me of? Which is so exciting. I've recommended this book before. It's called Quit Like a Woman by Holly Whitaker. And it's taking off because Chrissy Teigen tweeted about it, how she quit drinking. But it breaks down how the alcohol business is so fucking patriarchal, and that women actually tried to take back alcohol as a form of protest, therefore just cycling ourselves into the movement that alcohol businesses wanted us to be a part of. So that I love what you're saying about like, learn the history about this, and it'll make you go like, oh, it will really open your eyes. And then it seems like you're going to provide then a piece of like how to move forward and fight.
Actionable resources. There's going to be homework on every chapter of like, okay, how do you exactly pay off credit card debt? So it's tentatively also called Financial Feminist. We got to make sure that we get that title. But,
love that.
I'm so excited about it. Yeah, we just signed with HerFirst100k.
There's so much going on. It's insane.
We do. We have a lot going on. I have a team. This is just we have. Oh my gosh, how many people now? We have 7 people.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. That is so important too. I think like getting help when you need it and like knowing where that's an investment.
That was one of the smartest decisions I made, is I got help actually before I even took it full time, because I was running it as a side hustle, and I was like, even if it's 5 hours a week, I need like somebody to schedule my social posts. I was like, I need somebody to do this.
That's what I do with the podcast, and now that's what I'm doing with Swapskis, and it's like, see, I'm gonna just have to schedule time with you because I'm gonna have to buy the package because I need help. But
I'm so excited for your startup. I already sent it to my friend who does sustainability. She's a sustainability consultant, and I was like, you should check this out.
She should totally email me. I'll give you my info because I'd love to talk to her. Okay, cool. So blah blah blah. Where can everyone find you?
I am at HerFirst100k on all the socials, HerFirst100k, or HerFirst100k.com. Primarily Instagram and TikTok. Come say hi. We also have a free quiz on our website, which is the best way to kind of get started, especially if you're like, I don't know how to start this. Also, I love a quiz. Overwhelming.
It's gamifying it. I love that.
I know, it's great. So come say hi.
Tori, this has been so helpful. I think we've become lifelong friends through this conversation. I just love
you. Make me cry.
No, don't cry. Cry only good tears.
No, I'm so excited. We were talking about this before, but I am the biggest fan of Kelsey's.
Oh my gosh.
Literally got the email to be on the show and was like, what? And
I feel the same way. I'm like, oh my gosh, in this world, I think the universe brings people together for a specific reason. And I love your energy. I genuinely love your mission because you can tell you're so passionate about it and it's honest. It's not just like you want to become a millionaire, which if you did, who fucking cares? Congratulations. But
I do want to do that. And I want to make sure every woman can do that too.
Yes, that's the whole thing. Attainable. And so I really love your passion. I love your message. I think you're going to change the world. Like, go off, sis. And I'm so excited to watch your journey. And thank you so much for doing the podcast. And I hope to have you back. You have to come back with the book and everything and like podcast, blah, 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 blah. All right, confidants, you'll find Tori's links below, obviously. Don't forget to rate this 5 stars on iTunes. If you're going to rate it, let anything less than 5 stars, please don't, because I am sensitive. Speaking of sensitive, the merch is now out. You can get it linked below. I'm actually wearing the necklace today. It's a vibe. I really like the gold sensitive necklace. Tori, I have to send you my book, by the way. I need to get your address.
I love your book.
And that will be it. And we'll see you next week's Confidants. Love you. Bye.